Hi, my name is Gil Robs, and I'm a race director for CanLake 50 Ultras. CanLake 50 Ultras is an ultra marathon hosted by Greater Rochester Track Club that offers three distances: 50 miles, 50K, and 25K. In today's interview, our guests are Elias Dawli and Lauren Castellucci, who won this year's 50K race. Lauren's finish time was 5:08:55, and Elias' finish time was 3 hours 42:43 seconds, and that is a good for new 50K course record at CanLake Ultras. Welcome, guys, and congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's just get started. So tell us about your CanLake experience. From when did you decide to sign up for a race? How did you train for it? Arriving at FLCC, getting to the start, going through the course, finishing, all the motions, lows and downs. So take it away, guys.
You want to go first, Lauren?
Sure.
Cool.
So yeah, this was my longest race so far. It's my longest distance that I have ever run also. So probably last year I ran marathon distance. It wasn't like a race at all. I woke up one morning, I was like, I'm gonna run a marathon today, whatever. And then this past year, me and my mom wanted to run another race. We weren't sure what it was going to be. We've been doing a lot of 25K trail races. That's kind of been our main thing. So we found out about this race. My mom is like the coordinator of everything. So she found this race for us, signed up. And then I'm also a terrible trainer, as you can tell kind of by my time compared to yours. But so I didn't really train too much. The longest I ran was probably like 22 miles. But I still knew I wanted to do it. I was like, oh, I can probably finish, even though, who knows what my time will be or how I'll be feeling after. So we kind of just did it. We are about 2 hours away. I'm from Binghamton, New York. So we stayed in the Airbnb prior, and then we kind of arrived at the Finger Lakes Community College, kind of feeling okay. And then when we had to take the bus ride, I get a little nauseous sometimes with car rides, especially on a bus. So that was a bit of a kind of not rocky start, but something that I had to kind of overcome. And then for the race, usually when me and my mom run these races together, I start running with her for like the first like 3/4 of a mile, just so we can get started and I don't like speed off. Because that's definitely one of my downfalls, is that I just think, oh, I'm gonna start sprinting right off the bat, I'll be fine the rest of the time. But I knew this was, a longer distance, so I had to kind of control myself. But so we ran the first like mile together, and then I said, see ya. And caught up with a guy who we kind of were running like a 9-minute mile pace, and that was my goal. And that was kind of what we stood with for like probably like till the mile like 16. And then when the hills started coming, that was definitely my downfall, especially with not training as probably great as I should have. Yeah, so those hills kind of killed me from there. Had to walk up majority of them just to kind of catch my breath and to be able to make it till the finish. And yeah, so I ran most of it with the one guy that I was running with and which was good because I definitely needed someone to be there with me to pace with me and to just kind of keep me going. Stopped at all the aid stations, hydrated as best as I could. I know this is one of our other questions too, but I am a registered dietitian for my career, and I'm probably the worst person when it comes to eating and hydrating during a race. Again, probably one of my training downfalls. When I go out and run home, like I don't really think about eating as much. Hydrating I'm pretty good at, but it just was not prepared nutritionally, definitely. And then at mile probably 20, I started to get a little nauseous, and then that was kind of what I was feeling like for the rest of the time. But I knew I wanted to finish, so I kept on going. And yeah, I ended up losing the guy that I was pacing with, which I kind of felt bad about. But then finished, and then when I crossed the finish line, I didn't even realize I won. I didn't realize I was the first female. So then you came up to me and you were like, you know, you were the first female. I'm like, no, I had no idea. I was in pain. I had no idea. Got my picture taken. Immediately walked to the car and like passed out on the pavement. But yeah, so that was kind of my experience of my first ultra.
Well, how did it feel afterwards when you realized that you did win?
It definitely made it worth it. I was definitely excited. So a girl had passed me who was doing the 50 mile. And so I thought she was in like the 50K. And so I was like, oh, she won, I'll take second, whatever. And then it ended up being that she was in the 50 mile. So, but it was a good feeling. Definitely the plaque that we got was really great. It was beautiful and definitely something that I'll hold on to. And when I realized I won, I got that, I texted my family group chat and I was like, well, I never have to run a race again. Now that I got this, I'm good.
Very good. Elias?
Yeah, that's such an awesome story to like to hear kind of your experience. That was also my first ultra too, and that was my longest run that I've ever done.
Yeah.
I think that the longest I did this year was like 18 miles.
Okay.
So it was kind of a big jump up, but I have
Right.
done 2 marathons before. Actually the last marathon I did was like the virtual Boston Marathon.
Okay.
It got canceled. So I had to run it by myself. And so I kind of got used to like doing races by myself. So this was actually my first race that I felt comfortable with, like running with a group of individuals. So getting to the race, I was definitely like super excited. Like it just was like a cool, experience. Like finally the races are coming back. Like this is, really exciting. It's my first ultra. But I had no idea how to like prepare in terms of nutrition and water and those kind of things. So I think I just took the approach of like, okay, let's mentally prepare for this. Like, what should I kind of expect? And like, what should I feel like going through it, and try to like visualize the race to some degree. And I think largely what I did was just try to remember like, why do I run? And I'm sure if you're a runner and you have non-runner friends, like you hear your friends say this all the time, like, why do you run so much? Like, what are you running away from? Like, I can't even run a mile. And so I think like hearing those kind of things, like I started to think like, why do I run? And I think it's like, one is because like, I do think it is kind of like inspiring to some people who like say like, oh, I can't run a mile. Like it's kind of an escape from reality to some degree. And, just everything that is going on today, it's, a little inspiration, I think goes a long way. So I kind of just kept thinking about that. And also just, I run as like it's a form of meditation for me. It's a way for me to express myself. And so I kind of just focus in on those things. So once I kind of got like prepared mentally for the 50K, the gun went off, and I think I actually got out pretty fast. Because I just was like, I'm so ready. Like I want to give myself a test, like see how much I can test my limits. And so that was kind of like my strategy. So like when the timer went off, I definitely got after it. And then like, I guess my strategy was like, anytime I started to feel pain, just to smile and just like try to have fun and work through it that way. I didn't have a pacer. I did have a GPS watch though. So, like I knew my pace going throughout the race. I didn't really have a time in mind. Again, I just kind of wanted to like, test my limits and see how I could do. The course was gorgeous. So that was really like an awesome part about it. And then, so like when I crossed the finish line, it felt good. It felt like I really, gave myself that test and really gave it a good push.
So Lauren pretty much listened to her mom about signing up for 50K race. So what was when did you decide to sign up for CanLakes, and how long before you decided to sign up for around 50K?
Yeah, so I gave myself a goal at the beginning of the year that I want to run more and run faster. So I kind of meant like I wanted to see if I could like PR in the mile, and then PR in the 5K, and then also see like, could I do like a really long race? And so I hit my goals like over the summer, and then I started to transition like, okay, let's see what races I could find that were longer distance. And then I think I was like looking up like ultra races around in the area, and I saw the Canandaigua CanLake 50, and I went to the website, and there was something about the website that just like drew me into the race, like just the way how it was talked about, the way how like there was like the 50K gunners, like people who've done it in a bunch of races with their pictures and people of all different ages doing it. It just felt like a really like good vibe. And so I just had a good feeling about the race. And so I think I signed up the week before, but that's kind of how I found it. And I'm super glad I did.
So what was your aid station strategy or refueling overall? Did you use aid stations? Did you had your own stuff? Did you use drop bags?
I had like a backpack, like a running backpack that has like the Velcro with like the Camelback in the back with water. So I carried my water through the race. I think it was like I had like 1.5 liters. I didn't even end up drinking all of it. And then I just had like those kind of nasty goos that has like the electrolytes and things in it. I was talking to one of my colleagues, and they're like, "Oh, if you're doing an ultra, make sure you get a lot of salt." And so like I thought about like bringing pretzels and like things like that. But I mean, the goos worked out fine with the water to kind of complement them. But I definitely don't want to have another goo for a while. I think I probably had like 3 or 4 of them.
Hey, Lauren, that was your aid stations.
So I also had like a water backpack, and then I was carrying goos as well. I used the Spring brand, and they're the like lime green color, and they taste like applesauce basically. They're really good. If you like are opposed to doing goos, I would recommend those ones. I can definitely tolerate them. But my mom, I'm plugging my mom a lot on this, but she was like, well, make sure you hit like all the aid stations, like drink their water, drink their stuff, take their snacks, just because you never know if like how long in between it'll take you to get to the aid station, so you don't want to use all your stuff. So I definitely stopped at a lot of the aid stations. On one of them, I think it was the second to last one, I like saw something that was like lime, like lemon lime. I thought it was like a lemon lime sports drink, and I took a drink of it, and it was pickle juice, and I was like, that's not what I want right now. So that was definitely a surprise. But yeah, everything on the aid stations were good. I tried to eat some pretzels and I think I had like 1 or 2 Swedish fish, but by that time that I was nauseous, I was like, nope, can't take any of these things.
So the last downhill within about half mile to go, was it surprised to see that? And what were your thoughts or curse words when you saw that one?
I was actually kind of happy. I mean, I was definitely like you're talking about when we had to go down that like green hill, that hill. Yeah. So I was feeling like once I saw some downhill, I was like, oh, this is great. We're almost there. I can do this. And then I was like, oh, this is very interesting, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to run down here as fast as I can, even though it was probably dangerous. But I was like, as long as I'm getting closer to the end, I am fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, the course was like super well marked. And so leading up to it, like I could see the grass, or I could see the downhill and all the arrows pointing towards it. And I was like, oh man, are we really going to go down this grass patch? And yeah, I mean, I was definitely grateful for the downhill because the course had a ton of elevation gain. It was definitely nice getting on some grass after running on cement for that long, but it was certainly a surprise to, the last mile or last half mile, your legs are toasted at that point. They feel like goo. And just have like a downhill grass to help you get your butt kicked, I guess, a little bit.
What else do you remember from a course right now? What would be your highlights of the race course?
I definitely think, I mean, the aid stations were a great part of it. I think the people at the aid stations were really good. I know at one point, the one big hill, one of the ladies came down while I was walking, and she walked me back up the hill. She definitely thought I was struggling through that. But I mean, again, the views were awesome. It's nice scenery. And that's kind of area that I run on where I live. So I was kind of used to it too. But yeah, I definitely like the downhill parts when we had them, or the flat.
Yeah, the course was gorgeous in peak time, like with fall and all the fall colors and things like that. So that was awesome. But yeah, the people were great too. Like there was tons of fans. Every time you ran next to somebody or you saw somebody running, everyone was very like good spirited, and it just made it for like a really great experience.
Very good. So once you were done, how long it took you to recover from the race? Or are you still recovering?
It probably took me a good couple of days. I know I went into work the day after and everyone was like, "Why are you walking so weird?" I'm like, "I just ran like 31 miles. Like this is what I'm walking like for the rest of the week probably." I definitely tried to like foam roll also after and I was like, "This is not working." I did almost lose a toenail, but I think we're safe to say that it's not going anywhere, but I was a little nervous on that.
Close one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a bunch of days to like stop waddling, basically. Like I had to walk downstairs and so many different variations that I didn't know you could walk downstairs that way, like sideways, backwards, holding onto the railing, crawling sometimes, like however you could get up and down the stairs, basically. And then I actually did go for a run like 3 days later. It was like a pretty slower run, and I think I capped it off at like 2 miles and walked, the rest of it home. But I think that helped, but I'm not really sure if it did. I tried the foam roll. It was like way too painful.
Right.
Used the massage gun, did all those kind of things. But yeah, it definitely took a couple of days, I think, after running 50K. I don't know if there's any way you could just bounce back the next.
Yeah, for your next ultras after finishes, what I learned, what helped me to recover was ice bath immediately as soon as I can get it. And it sounds horrible, but one guy told me like you need to get through the first minute in ice bath. So I would get in, I would have a hot tea next to me. I would have ice covered, ice floating in it, just like then I would get in, submerge myself, to the waist and bite myself in and looking at the watch. And literally, like I'm not that brave overall, but it's more like first time I went to try it. And literally it was like a minute mark instantly. Yes, it's cold, but you're fine. That was surreal. That was like first time I experienced that was surreal. So but that allows you to all the muscles which are damaged during the run. It gets you like it speeds up recovery. I mean, you're not going to be running another out the next day, but it helps certainly. So just like that's what I have found the most would help me recover. So tell us more about your athletic background, how you get into running overall, just how did you prepare for it? Are you a lifelong runner or just recently picked up running?
So I always played like softball and soccer through high school. And then after I kind of stopped it during college, and then you need to find something to do. So I kind of picked up running. And then it was probably after I graduated college that I started to pick it up a little bit more. And like I said, my mom started running when she was 30 and she has run 50 milers and the Boston Marathon twice. So she's definitely been someone that, I've looked up to, and, she kind of always pushes me out the door when I don't want to go. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started running. And then we have 2 dogs. So we always like to go out and take them for runs. So again, they're definitely motivators. And just kind of felt like I wanted to keep running farther. So that's kind of how I picked the ultra. And we've been doing a lot of 25K trail races, which I really do like the trail races. There's much more technical and they're kind of fun. But so that's kind of how I ended up at the CanLake.
Yeah, I've been also I haven't done a trail race yet, so
They're fun.
I definitely want to try one. But yeah, I got into running at like an earlier age. I played soccer, and I feel like when people play soccer, you end up doing track and stuff like that. So I did track in high school. And then I didn't really run too much in college or anything like that. And then after college, still wasn't really running too much, but I signed up for a half marathon. And I just started running every single day and I got really into it. And then before I know it, I was like, okay, I guess I'll sign up for a marathon. And so just kind of kept progressing that way. That was a couple of years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago. So now now I run every day almost, try to do like around 50 to 60 miles a week and a couple workouts or 2 workouts like a week, like a track workout and then like a longer distance tempo kind of thing too. So that's how I got prepared for the race. But, I wanted to do like the 22-mile run or like, some longer distance things. Just never was able to get out the door and go for a 22-mile run. But I think like the tempo stuff and like the hills and like the track workouts, all kind of that like high intensity running kind of definitely like made me feel a little bit more prepared for the 50K.
So that you kind of like touched up on the next question, which I want to ask. What's your training schedule? Do you wing it? Do you have a training plan? Do you cross train?
I'm definitely more the wing it type, I can tell you that. So yeah, I try to get out like 3 to 4 times a week. Usually with one like longer run on the weekends. It usually fits into my schedule. I also just started biking recently, which I feel has like helped tremendously. Especially if it's a little bit hilly where I live. So I'm doing hills with my bike too. It just like feel like gets me to a whole another game. I can definitely tell with my running, like if I've been biking a lot, then I'm definitely running a little bit faster than opposed to when I'm not. And then so since I usually do wing it, my brother is just starting to do run coaching. So I'm like, I'll be your guinea pig. We can see how good you can get me. So I'm hoping to improve a little bit on my training aspect, but
yeah, and then I have like a somewhat of a schedule. I have a friend who sends me like workouts like every week, so I do those workouts. And I'm not like super regimen with my schedule in terms of like running. Kind of just try to get the workouts done and then try to get the longer workouts in, but I definitely don't like, worry if I miss like a long run on a Saturday or a Sunday. So I think, that's probably why I end up around like 50 miles a week, but hopefully looking to kind of continue to get further in distance. And so I'm hoping to kind of get the mileage up and eventually do the CanLake 50 miler, but we'll see.
I always, for folks who ask me for ultra advice, I always preach them quality over quantity. So what I'm hearing from you, if you did track workouts, if you did hills, some long runs, and all that stuff, that's way better than somebody doing all the time long runs and doing kind of 20 miles. So, I mean, that's basically just you're proving my point that you could, if you're doing that quality workouts, you could run fast with not as much miles as people would expect.
Yeah, it's like just getting comfortable with like your legs feeling tired and then continuing to be able to run on tired legs, right?
Right. So tell us a little bit more about yourself as far as what you do for a living. Lauren, you said you're a nutritionist.
Yep. So I'm a registered dietitian. I work in long-term care right now in a couple of different facilities. So in nursing homes, that sort of stuff. And that's kind of what I do. I'm looking to do some more outpatient work in the near future, just to kind of get a different variety of clients and stuff like that. But that is my main job, which does not help. Just because you're a dietitian does not mean you're going to be good at, focusing on nutrition during a race.
It should, yeah, but
right, yeah, not in this case at least.
I'm sure it helps with the post-race nutrition.
Yeah.
All the cookies and brownies. Right.
The after beer that I got,
Yes, after beer, of course, mandatory. I'm a product manager, so I basically work with like a team of engineers and lead vision and strategy to build like different software products for clients. It's not what I studied in college. I studied like economics, but got into like the tech industry right out of college and have kind of stayed in it since then. A lot of my colleagues are also runners too. So we have like a Strava group and that's kind of like a, you know, a fun part of like going to like our scrum or like daily meetings is like, we also get to talk about, you know, the mileages and workouts and things like that.
Okay, very good. So the Zoom cliche or what we're supposed to do in the Zoom calls is scan the background. So I see guitar in your background. So do you play guitar?
I do. Yep. I do play guitar.
Okay, any other interesting hobbies?
Yeah, I'm also starting or have launched a small project to promote blood and organ donations as well as mental health. So I work with a bunch of different emerging artists to produce different kind of content, and then we run them as like PSAs. So it's taking some of the things I've learned from work and just applying it to a cause that I truly believe in. So that's kind of been my like big extracurricular activity outside of running and playing guitar.
That's awesome. Lauren?
Nothing too interesting, I can tell you that. I am quite the book nerd, so I'm up to almost 35 books this year of reading.
Oh,
And I run, I work, and I read apparently. And I also do like to frequent all the local breweries. Wherever I go someplace, I always kind of make a brewery trail, and that's where we go. So after the race, my mom and I went to the Peacemaker Brewing Company and had our post-race beer there.
Yeah, there are a lot of breweries out these days. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna switch to ask questions what the Facebook folks from CanLake Facebook group asked for. So one of the guys was wondering how much you paid attention to electrolyte balance during the race. Were you winging it, or was it somewhat planned, or how did that go for you guys?
I think kind of just a little bit of winging it and then a little bit of just knowing my body. So just trying to stay hydrated. Like I said, I was taking those pretzels. I also had like electrolyte tabs too that I was kind of sucking on here and there throughout it. So it kind of just went how I felt.
yeah, I totally winged it. I just got a bunch of goos and try to have one every like 45 minutes, an hour, because that's what the directions on the back of them say. So yeah, didn't have a really good solid strategy. It did work for what it's worth. But yeah, not a good strategy.
Why didn't you think it didn't work? What was?
Oh, I think it did work. Yeah. I
Oh,
mean, I felt fine through the race. Definitely felt like I had enough sugar, had enough water. So yeah, I think it worked, but I'm sure there's, you know, more calculated ways or better goos to have than what I was using.
very good. So other Facebook users was wondering, did you stop at the aid stations? And Lauren, I heard you saying that you did pretty much at every aid station. So
Yeah,
Elias?
I didn't stop at the aid stations. I felt like if I stopped, I wouldn't keep running. So I just kind of kept going through them.
Okay. Another question from Facebook group user is, what would you do differently next time if you would have to run this race?
I think I probably just would have trained a little bit more, focus on different types of training. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have done anything differently. I think it was a super fun time. I think the race went relatively well. So I don't know if I would do anything different.
So then the last question from Facebook group is, do you feel that you could have pushed harder, or do you think you were running on your edge?
I feel like at times I could have. When you look, like I was wearing like my Garmin watch too. So when you look at like the breakdown of your like minute miles, like you saw towards the end that I was really like pushing. And so I feel like I could have done that for more of the miles.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think that was like the first ultra that I've ever done. So I didn't really know what to expect after the marathon. I didn't know how hard it was going to be to do the next 5 miles or so. So I just don't know if I could have pushed harder. Based on how I felt after, definitely not. I was like just so wiped after. But yeah, I think I did give it all I had.
I can tell you that looks are deceiving because when I was looking at you after the finish, you all look so fresh. I'm thinking like, what the heck? You know, I'll have to put more hills next year.
Classic race director.
Yeah.
No hills.
No, I mean, well, I think it's this year was perfect. I think one of the best weather conditions
Mhm.
for the race. They were just chill enough that if you're running, you're warm. There was some mist, but it's barely a mist overall. Just there's no rain whatsoever. So it's like it's literally it was really fast race overall. Just so. Did you walk during the race as well, or just was it just continuously running?
I kept running. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't feel the need to walk. The hills, there was like, I think like one of the second big hills of the two. I think I considered it, but I didn't end up walking.
Lauren?
Oh yeah, I definitely walked up those hills. Not gonna lie.
At any point did you hit the wall when you said, "Oh, this sucks"?
I mean, I think I was saying this sucks sometimes, but I knew I was gonna keep going. I was like, I'm not gonna finish, no matter how hard this hurts, or even if I have to walk more than I was. I was gonna keep going.
I think if I said like if I thought I hit the wall or wanted to stop, then I would have been stopped. Like I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think there was like room to have like that kind of energy or those kind of thoughts. Because then it's so hard to break out of that
Right.
once you're like, yeah, I'm done. I can't go any longer. Like, yeah, at that point you can't really reverse it. So try to make a big conscious effort just to stay positive and like I said, smile every time I kind of felt pain, just to like keep going and yeah, not stop.
Well, you guys are better than I have ever been because I certainly I do not remember any ultra which I ran where I didn't think about quitting, and not just quitting, but seriously quitting. So that was and that's actually it's more of the norm that folks think about quitting than I mean they overcome it. Most of the guys get over that hump, just unless there's a serious injury or whatnot or serious setbacks. But it's like folks I talk to, they just norm is like they think about quitting. So
And I
so
think
go
I
ahead.
think like once I hit like the marathon mark, because I was like, oh, I've run this before, 5 more miles, that's gonna be cake, whatever, I can do it. So I think once I got there, especially, I was like, I was good. No matter like even if I wasn't running as fast as I was in the beginning, I was like, oh, what's whatever.
Very good. So, but now you have this win behind your backs in your resume as auto resume. So what's next for you? What you're planning to do? 50 miles, 100 miles?
I would love to say 50 miles, but I don't think so. I might cap it at the 50K, I think. I don't have any races planned, but I can't see a 50-mile very close in my future.
Yeah, I don't have any races planned either, but I definitely caught the bug. Like I had a lot of fun in that ultra. Would love to do some like trail races, but definitely would love to do like a 50 miler or 100 mile. There's like Leadville, like it's a pretty big ultra. Would love to like one day do something like that. or maybe even like one of those couple day runs, like the Moab 240 or something. Really got the bug for it. So definitely look to keep pushing the distance. But I'd also still want to do like 5Ks and like the mile races and 2 mile races on the track. Definitely have fun doing those kind of speedy workouts too, or speedy races.
I have told this story before that my first 50 mile was supposed to be one and done and bucket list item, but that was 2007, and here I am, race director for 3 ultras. So it is, and as well, like actually, honestly, after first couple months after the race, I was get me out of here. I'm never ever gonna do something stupid like that again. But then I'm thinking like actually that was a lot of fun, and I still enjoy that process. So it is contagious. So,
How many ultras have you done so far?
I'm not yeah, enough. I mean, I had 2007, I did first one. Then I didn't do for a couple of years, even I signed up for one, a few, then a series of DNFs, more DNFs. I had more DNF than I would like to admit. Then 2010, I came back and started running again. And I think my best year was 2012 when I flirted with some autos where I almost won. Couple, but then afterwards, I think the last one which I ran is 2014. I knew that at one point I would like to transition more in organizing, so I would just kind of like just happen. And will I run it again? Possibly. Just that's I have not exclude that, but I have not really trained for it. So, but I enjoyed this aspect of organizing races. Just and if you're looking for races, just you can different races as well. Like in Western New York, there's a lot of other trail races available. Like for example, if you're looking for challenging trail race, the Virgil Crest was resurrected in Ithaca. Very challenging is Cayuga 50 milers, but that's a beautiful as well. If you're looking for trail and beautiful race, that's Virgil. That the Cayuga 50Ks are where you can do it. I mean, I'm gonna kind of promote my own races, but give a try to timed races as well. Those are different beasts because it's like one of the participants said about timed races that they are a social events with some running involved, and that's the best how to describe it because if you think about running in a 1 mile loop by yourself for like 12 hours, that would be naughty. But you put like 100 people on it, and you always have people to run with you. And in a traditional races, what you have is like in traditional outdoors, you pretty much you're going to see around folks your pace. So you're going to see from start to finish the same face pretty much all the time. But in a looped ultra, you will catch up and run for some time with all paces, because even if you're a fast runner, you're going to slow down a little bit. You can catch up with slow runners. Slow runners always going to see the lead runners, all that stuff. So that's like I said, like one former participant said, it's a social event with some running involved. So anyway, just that's too much tooting my own horn, but congratulations, guys, about the win, and good luck with your future adventures, running or non-running. I hope you come back to do 50 mile. Even your Lawrence said that 50 mile is not going to happen. If you thought, and I'll plug it, CanLake 50 miles. If you thought that 50K course was beautiful, you have not seen 50-mile course. That is even.
Well, now you're twisting my arm.
Yeah, that is. Like I famously said about how I get in this race directing CanLake 50s was that years I came to Rochester in '96, and since then I would drive around CanLake at least once per year because I just love the views. Then I discovered a ultras, and there's an ultra around the CanLakes. I actually that was one of the 50 miles which I completed myself on three tries, and once completed. But then CanLake has a really low dropout rate, and I'm joking that former race director want to reduce that dropout rate by even more by promoting me as a race director, because I finished like twice I dropped out and only finished once. So that's so anyway, yeah, come back to please consider 50-mile race. But if not, there's a lot of races in Western New York area, just like you can trail races, good trail races, good canal races, good ultras. So try it out. Good luck, you guys, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And see
Thank
you
you.
around.
Thanks for hosting the race and everything too.
Thank you. And have a good one, guys.
Bye.